Hey there everybody, Mazarok here, and welcome to So You Want to Tank Mists of Tirna Scithe. I think that's how you pronounce it. Whatever, everybody just calls it Mist. Let's go. So as a tank, if you are a Blood Elf, one of the things that you can do here is actually use your Arcane Torrent to remove a debuff off all of them. I used it here. We checked there. This is a fairly common standard pull for a lot of pug groups and things like that, where you want to burst down cooldowns. Now these spike claws are getting changed. They're going to have a 10-foot like jump distance max, so it's, everyone's going to want to stack, and then that won't happen. We had really good DPS, as you see here. Our Frost DK pumped about 50k cleave right into it, but I think he got I think he got canceled out of it by the overgrowth or whatnot. So basically what you can do here I tried to showcase this harvester is something that you can actually sap, priest can mind soothe, or invis past. You just really usually don't want that pack. We use the warlock gate skip here. Unfortunately, there was an inspired mob in this one, so getting them all together was not exactly the funnest thing in the world for me to do, because I can't use my grips and things like that, and I was losing DPS. I also didn't have any of my big AoEs, swarming mist, anything like that. But we did get it going, and it's not a problem. And then boom, get everything in together. Here, the Harvest Essence cast is really what you want to kick. Just kick it. The Spirit Bolt as well. These things can really chonk, so this is something that you're going to want to kick as much as possible. While Incinerator Arcalith is here, I'm actually going to talk about that first pull. You can skip it. There is a certain method of skipping it that you can do. Best done with a Rogue Shroud, and get through it, because in higher keys that first pack really trucks. Those villagers aren't fun to deal with, so it actually gets a little bit more common to skip, but in 15s and below you really don't have to. It's not that bad at all. And then you can just go from there. Here we're going to finish off Incinerator Arcalith, and then we're going to open up this pathway, which is you need a Night Fae to be able to do, and then you can get your buff. A tasty tough shroom or a savory stat shroom. It's best just to go for the savory stat shroom. There's one for everybody, and then you don't really got to worry about it there. Now up next we are going to fight the Frosty guy. I can't remember his name, doesn't matter, he's not going to be there. But I am going to show you Varuth pull, because we didn't actually do any pulling through the walls, so let me go find that. Okay, so you can pull through the walls in Mist if you're trying to get other more percentage, especially through the maze. Now, we didn't do that, so the Warlock sent his pet to go attack Executioner Varuth. He's going to die, but Executioner Varuth is still going to come. You can use Warlocks, you can use Hunter Pets, as well as the Monk Zwen in Mist, to be able to pull through walls throughout the maze. So if you're trying to just get more percentage, because the percentage, the mobs and the packs in that Mist, in the Mist maze, are really not that bad, and you can stack them fairly well. You just need to kick and stun certain things, as we'll get to a little bit later on, but it's really not that bad. So I just wanted to show what you had to do to be able to pull through those walls. Hunter Pets, Warlock Pets, and there's a couple of other different things. I think Rocky, the Rock Elemental for Shamans, can do it as well. But yeah, fairly standard, fairly easy if you're looking for more percentage. You don't have to, although it can help a lot. So let's get on with the actual dungeon. So here we have the Drust Bowbreakers, I don't know how to pronounce them. They hurt. In higher keys, they hurt a lot. So what you want to do is you want your DPS to kind of focus down on one of them more, to offset their cast of Bramble Burst and the furious thrashing that they do. So you just really focus on one. When he does the Bramble Burst, they're going to put these brambles on the ground. Just make sure you can get out of them. The Furious Thrashing is something that you can actually outrange. You see where the line goes here. As a tank, you can't, but your DPS players can. Just pay attention to that. That's a good time to use cooldowns on this one, by the way, if you feel like you're threatened or anything, or you want to make your healer's life a little bit easier. Use a cooldown on the Furious Thrash and just avoid the ground things, the bramble burst, because they do slow you. You can just not be in them as they're being cast, but fairly easy. This one here, so we're gonna two-phase this boss, but the goal here is you want to bring the big tree down, Droman, down to about 20%, I think it is, before he breaks and he or she becomes on your side. Before they become on your side, Ingra is the main boss here, and what happens, so here you want to save your kick for the Spirit Bolt when these blue patterns start coming around. I like going in a clockwise motion around. Something to watch out, the Droman also does a frontal, just don't be in it. It's fairly simple. There's not a lot of mechanics, the mechanics can be not fun. So those, the Tears of the Forest, that's where you want your kick, or have someone kick for you to move Ingra out into a tankable position that's not around a bunch of blue swirlies that hurt. When the tree gets on your side, you get a nice buff. So this is where you're going to blow all cooldowns, all that fun stuff. Really save your bait. Anything you have to hit harder, that's the time to save it. This becomes a slog in higher keys. Now, our DPS was just fine, as you can see, like, 20k, 13k, 8k, on a 15, that's perfectly fine. Now, if you do not do enough damage to Droman quick enough, he does do a repulsive visage cast, which is a fear that lasts about, I don't know, 4 seconds or anything like that. So if you have an anti-fear, very, very good. Shamans have the totem that gets you out of fear. Wonderful to have. Here we're just going to DPS Droman down again and just kind of plow through, because you really want that debuff. Now, usually if you get to about 15% on Ingra right off the bat, is a good time to just stay on him. But if you're above 20% on Tyrannical, you might as well just burst down the tree. It'll actually save you some DPS. So here we're just going to bring him down. Easy peasy. It's not uncommon to 2 or 3 phase this in higher keys, so save your lust, save your cooldown, save your pots. Go from there. Quaking's always super fun. Little fun quaking story here. If quaking starts going off and you actually hit the wrong mist and you all end up at the starting point here, you will murder yourselves by quaking. Lots of fun. So we'll go through what the trash in the maze is actually not bad at all. Just these Mistveiled defenders, they do the Spear Flurry, sidestep them, tank them away from your DPS, because it's obviously like the Hunter Barrage, where it has a nice big cone. So you want to be on one side, you want your DPS to be on the other. Not complicated. Just DPS them down. As we get further into the maze, we're going to get different sorts of mobs depending on, what kind of maze that you get. It's, it's always random. Now, these defenders here will do a bucking rampage, which is something you're going to want to hard CC out of. I think it's the defenders. One of them does. We'll see this here in a bit. The stalkers do a jump. Nothing much you can do about it. It's not fun to deal with, but it's really not terrible. Just DPS things down. We usually let the healer do the puzzle while things are going on here, because you can kind of heal at a distance, so that's not too bad. So yeah, it's the guardians that do the bucking rampage. Sorry. The stingers jump around a little bit. Really, again, this trash is fairly easy at all key levels. It's really not that bad. It's the maze itself that takes a little bit long. There you go with the guardian. You do want to try and stun the guardian out of that bucking rampage. He'll have a circle around him, and he'll just keep booting everything out of the zone. So if you have melee DPS or anything, that just becomes not fun. I just gripped him out of it there. Not complicated. Very easy. And then you go through there. Finally, all right, so this one here, we have the Tenders. Now, the Tenders do a Nourish of the Forest cast, which you absolutely want to kick. That, you do not want to let that go off. I am rooted here. One of them does a root, really not that bad at all. not in 15s. And higher levels, that root can really, really hurt. If you end up rooting and you don't have anything like freedom or anything to get yourself out of it, or shapeshift for bears, then we're a little worrisome. But really, a lot of this trash is not too complicated. Nice, easy 5-pack mobs. Now, you're going to get a random mini-boss throughout the maze. We ended up getting the Gorge Gullet. The Gorge Gullet has the tongue lashing that you just want to sidestep, and he'll jump and try and crush some people. Really not this crushing leap. He does the poisonous secretion as well. There is a dragon that you can get, which will do a dragon breath. Don't be in it. But it also does the dragon breath does a pool of radiance, which will heal anybody in the pool of radiance. So you want to make sure that the dragon is not in that pool of radiance, and you can tank it in there for free healing and free healer DPS, really. And then there's the big Hydra that does a triple poison bite. That's really one where you kind of wish that you have a poison dispel if you get that one. But those are like the 3 mini bosses that you're bound to get. So just watch out for that. Again, these defenders, tenders, really not complicated. We had a really, really good maze here, so we didn't have to worry about a double tender, one of them being inspired, because that Nourish the Forest cast does a lot of mob healing, and you do not want that going off. So tenders should absolutely be priority to kill, and then you CC everything else out of it. That's it. Really, like, that's most of the maze. It's not complicated at all. And then we get over to the Mist Color here. Now, the Mist Color is a several phase fight. As a tank, you're going to get the Patty Cake, which only you can kick it. You cannot rely on anybody else to kick it. Only you can kick it as the tank. So interrupt it, save your interrupts for that, because there's nothing else to interrupt here. There's the Patty Cake. There is the Freeze Tag cast that will summon a Vulpin around. The Illusionary Vulpin that will freeze anybody in a small little zone. So you really want like a Mage Polymorph, Shaman Hex, Warlock Fear, Hunter Frost Trap to kind of put that one out of its misery and just kind of let it deal. After about 20 seconds or 15 seconds, it goes away. So it's not something that's up full time, but you do have to watch out for it. And then she does the guessing game. You have to dodge the dodgeballs. The dodgeballs will appear. That's here. I actually got aggro on that Vulpin, so I was kind of running away, freaking out a little bit here. Here is the guessing game again. It's always the odd one out. So whichever one, if you've got 3 colored, it's going to be the one that's not colored in. If you got three of the rings, it's going to be the one that's not ringed. It's always the odd one out. Fairly simple. This is a little bit of a slog, but it's really not that bad. There's just kind of a lot of things going on at once. That Vulpin freezing things is not fun either. And if I'm not mistaken, our group is actually going to have, if I'm not mistaken, right here, actually, we're going to get a freeze tag coming up next. And then our shaman is going to try and hex it, but is not going to get it off in time. And boom! Right up in there in the corner. Our elemental shaman got freeze burst, so you do want to watch out for that. Then it's actually going to happen again, which is going to be hilarious, and we'll show you what the patty cake does if it doesn't go off, because I was laughing a little bit too hard and I missed the cast. So we got the freeze tag going off again. Here I am watching the Vulpin. Just go after the Warlock. He's going to try and fear it. It's not going to go off in time. I missed the patty cake cast because I was laughing a little bit too hard, and I got disoriented for 5 seconds. That's what happens. So you really want to kick that patty cake. I'm just telling you, you want to play patty cake with her. But it's just a rinse and repeat fight. It's the same mechanics over and over again. They can be a little bit dull, and they kind of go on for way too long. But that's Mist Color for you. Little side note here, actually, on explosive weeks, the explosives can spawn anywhere on this boss map, so you really want to be able to zoom out as much as possible so you can see where the explosives are getting pulled out. Just avoid the dodgeballs; they deal a chunk of damage. But yeah, this one boss is really annoying on explosive weeks. Once your group has figured out which which of the guessing games it is, you can bring her over to to help with DPS on that. Just make sure that you're kicking the patty cakes. Pretty simple, nothing complicated here. Here, if anybody died at any point after the mist color, you do have 10 seconds of free time. You have about 12 seconds here where you can start eating and you will be able to get your food buff before she comes up. So this is a very, very good time to eat. If you're trying to min-max your food buffs and things like that and yet anybody die, it's basically free time that you got just with role play and stuff going on, so you don't got to worry about it. Now, one of the things that we did not discuss about the Night Fae is the acorns that you can click. I think you killed them with water walking. Not 100% sure. But those acorns right here, a Night Fae can activate, and they are your respawn checkpoints. We're just going to mass res our warlock and get them up. Open up the acorn, and then I'm going to pull the 3 slugs. I guess they're slugs, beetles, I don't know. In with Soggy here. The acid gullets are something you're going to want to watch out for. They're just a little nasty, but they're not too bad at all. But the staghorn is really the prio kill here. You want to kick all of his casts. You do not want any of them going off at all. It's not fun. There's healing, there's a shield, a bunch of stuff. Now I am going to Icebound Fortitude this smash by Sagadon because I won't get stunned by it, so I am fine. But just make sure you get that staghorn down. That's the big thing there. So up next, a very common double pull that I like to do here is grabbing the right and the left packs here. I try to avoid these Reavers, but unfortunately with Inspiring, I want to make sure that all the staghorn casts go off. So I told the group, look, I will pull. Once this Inspired mob is down, I will double pull. Just because I need, the staghorns going off and healing everything is just adding more time that you do not need into the dungeon or anything at all, because this timer can be a little bit tight at times. But these green circles on the ground, do not be in them. They do a yeet mechanic, which you will fly off. Not a lot of fun, so don't be in it. Fairly standard, fairly easy, nothing crazy here. We do have an inspired mob. So in this, the little one of the little larvas didn't die fast enough, so he got with that cast off, which puts a big shield, but that can actually be purged off. So I think mages can steal it off. Demon hunters and shamans can purge it. If you are a blood elf, you can just use your arcane torrent racial and get rid of all of the shields simultaneously. Very, very nice, very easy. So here we're going to deal with these spine maw reavers. These guys are nasty if you don't have any poison dispels, especially in higher keys. And so these guys here, they wanted me to pull it in with the next pack, but the next pack had a staghorn. So I was like, look, defeat the inspired mob first, and then I'll pull them in, because then I know we can kick all of the staghorn stuff. And I had just used my arcane torrent. So boom, done. Acid gullets, gorgers, staghorns, kick the staghorn, make him your prior target. Do not be in the green swirlies, or you will go down into the mist down below. Kick the stuff, nothing complicated. And up next is going to be a double pull, which is a fairly common as well. But if you do not have defensives or anything that... See, I blew my... let's call it, I blew my load. I blew my Swarming Mist and my Bone Storm for this pull here, which I probably should have saved it for the next pull. Whatever, not a big deal. Just make sure you have threat on everything. They're a little spread before your DPS start really going to town. But that is what it is. It's how it works. There's really not much more to say here that I have not said already. Stay out of the green swirlies. There's really nothing dangerous in this pack either. The Gorgers and stuff and the Acid Gullets aren't bad at all. There's no Staghorns. This is a fairly easy double pull that you can do. Stay out of the green swirlies. So here we are at 96%. I asked my group if they needed cooldowns back or anything. They said, yes, I do. So we are going to finish off our percentage with the Staghorn pull up here. Boom. The trash in Mist really isn't difficult. The bosses can take a while depending on what happens and what goes on. Just Take your time. Make sure the kicks are getting rotated through properly. Because the Staghorn can really eat up a lot of seconds and minutes if you don't kick. But aside from that, nothing complicated. This is one of the easier dungeons for trash, aside from those first pulls of the dungeon, because it is a little bit more simpler. So after that, we're going to go to the last boss, Tradova. Now, Tradova has a lot of mechanics. Now, as a tank, your primary focus, like the thing you cannot screw up on, is the Parasite cast. This parasitic pacification, which will put a parasite on one of your players and charm them, and it's not fun to have to deal with. So make sure that gets kicked. There is the mind link that gets put on someone. I was arguing with the Warlock here. He should move. He said, no, I'm not moving. So we just decided to keep with it. I can heal myself through it. It's fine. Every once in a while, she'll do the Gormling larvas that'll come out. You want to try and AoE them down as fast as possible. And then there's Consumption. Consumption is a mechanic that is kickable only once a certain amount of damage has gone off on her. And there are these green swirlies that will always remember where you were before. So ask hunters not to use disengage. You don't need to do crazy movements to get out of it. Just sidestep it. That's all it is. All you have to do is sidestep it a little bit. I moved a little bit too much on this one for the Gormling larvas, but they will remember what you did before. And they will start stacking up. So this fight can get hectic with those green swirlies that go around everywhere. If you have a hunter that disengages all of them, you could think you're safe, and then all of a sudden a green swirly shoots right back at you or something like that. It can be a little weird. Just stay out of that. Make sure the parasitic pacification gets kicked. Aside from that, again, all of the fights here are really kind of rinse and repeat. The mechanics aren't complicated. They're just going all of the time. And I think that's what makes Mist on Tyrannical a little bit tougher than most dungeons, is the constant amount of mechanics that are going off, but it's just the frequency of them. And some of them are movement based, some of them are kick based and things like that, and you just kind of got to pay attention to quite a number of things all at the same time. And just work it that way. I think our Resto Shaman's going to die here at some point, but he's going to onk, if I'm not mistaken. The mind link is once you have a certain amount of separation between you and the link target, it'll break. But nothing complicated there. But that's basically how you tank Mists of Tirna Scithe. Hopefully I covered everything for you. If you have any other questions, yeah, 2% left. He died. But he onked, so he was technically alive for the whole thing. That's how you take Mist. If you have any other questions for me, ask them down in the comment section down below, or join the Discord and ask any and all questions there. I'd be happy to take any questions that you have. I stream on Twitch as well. Check that link down below. With 9.2 coming around the corner, I'm going to be on a lot more often, and I have decided that I'm going to be trying to get this entire thing up to full time. I would love to be able to YouTube and Twitch and all of that full time, but it takes people like you to help support. So any support that you have, like, comment, follow, subscribe, nice kind words, constructive criticism. I'd love to hear all of it. Aside from that, that's how you tank Mist. That is the last of the So You Want to Tank series, right up until 9.2. Tazavesh being released in a week from now. So I will be learning and doing that one as well, although there is a little bit of a steeper learning curve for new dungeons because we got to figure out all the little tips and tricks on how exactly to get that done. So thank you very much for all the support, everybody. It's been an absolute blast so far. If there's any content that you would like to see as well, any ideas, shoot at me. I got a few things else up in the pipeline that I've got going for 9.2. I'm really excited to be covering a lot more things going on.